It's become clear now that Impaulsive's third co-host, or should I say now ex-co-host, has officially left or been kicked off. Fans of the show have now noticed Impaulsive has unfollowed George Janko off social media and removed him from their social media profiles and banners. But what was the real reason behind this departure? Did Logan Paul have enough of his antics towards the end, or is George about to unveil how they really treated him off camera? Make sure to stick around to the end for the full details. Earlier this week, George made his stance clear when he unfollowed both Logan Paul and Mike Majolak on Instagram, which is hinting that something went on behind the scenes and that it wasn't an amicable split. We've seen numerous co-hosts on Impaulsive in the past, such as Mac and Spencer, and they left on good terms, no hard feelings. But it's clearly different this time. Rumors were stoked by Janko's cryptic tweets, which led to speculation that the trio may be at odds with one another. In one recent Twitter post, Janko wrote, "I wasn't going to talk, but now I am." Which of course had many Impaulsive fans wondering what he's talking about. Are they trying to silence him? I don't blame him, to be honest. George deserves better. I was wondering why he hasn't been on the past couple of weeks. Strange, since the last Boys Pod ended with George basically saying, "We're different, but we'll always be bros for life. Something spicy is on the way for sure." They don't really care for religion and do try to break into the landscape with religion at the forefront. Contradictory. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the post notification bell. This way you'll never miss out on any future celebrity videos similar to these. Regarding the last comment a fan made towards their stance on religion, this was most certainly a massive factor as to why George either just left or got fired. For those that may not know, in an episode from a few months or so ago, Logan made it blatantly clear that he had no interest in George's religious beliefs, no matter what he brought up.
Give an example of
one that really hurt me is you told me I need a therapist because I believe in Jesus. That one hurt me.
No, I didn't. I said you need a therapist because Jesus isn't quite doing it for you, which is true.
No, you didn't. I won't stand down. No, you didn't.
You think I said you need a therapist because you believe in Jesus?
I checked you and I said, "What did you just say to me?" And you said, "What did I say?" And you stumbled. You're like, "I don't know. What would I say?" And then you fumbled. I'm not backing down from this.
It is common knowledge that you don't interpret reality like reality happens, and you heard that incredibly wrong.
Considering Logan Paul has known George most likely for over a decade, well, his entirety of being on social media, that's for sure, as they used to do Vines together years back. Not even listening to his viewpoints and disrespecting his beliefs on camera in front of millions goes to show how Logan thinks of George. If he's comfortable slating what he stands for in front of his audience of over 4 million people, imagine behind the scenes. The guy probably has no say at all. When this episode got released, it was clear the entire audience was on George's side, with posts like, "The secondhand embarrassment for Logan is unbearable in this episode. From calling himself a genius while openly being ignorant of how he comes off, to just downright being proven to be the least mature of the group is really something. And Logan really made me change my mind about him again. Whatever he says or thinks in his mind is automatically right and everyone else is wrong." George wanted to have a conversation and actually talk about it, and Logan just wanted to fight about it. Shake my head. George, thank you from the bottom of my heart. As a fellow Bible-believing Christian, I love how you handled the situation. With such a huge platform, you displayed yourself and your religion while taking criticism from a friend. Not only did you stand your ground, you were loving and respectful. Thank you, George. God bless.
What do I need a therapist for then?
Jesus isn't doing it for you, and I believe
what do I need a therapist for?
I don't believe you're as emotionally mature as you could be.
Then what do I need Jesus for? I mean, what do I need a therapist for?
To get you to level up.
In what?
Yourself.
In what category? So when you think George needs a therapist, what category am I following?
Emotional intelligence.
Considering how much everyone states Logan Paul has changed, his actions over the past year say different because he's had many incidents from scamming his fans to disrespecting his closest friend. The list goes on. George has made it clear that his long-term goal is to become a comedian. And as you would know, his infamous moment on the podcast was when he walked out on the Bobby Lee episode because he couldn't handle the jokes. It's a tough watch.
There are certain...
He is clocked out.
I know.
George has been under a tremendous amount of abuse.
No,
Stop, George. I want you over here with me. George, I want you over here with me. Chase him down. Go. You find him. George, no, go get him. Go get him. I said this, he walked, and that's a first, and now we're going to have to deal with the fallout of this episode for the next 2 months. I swear to God, Bobby Lee, you pissed off my co-host. He's probably crying in the driveway.
You know, the Beatles could have lost Ringo.
A lot of people I've seen online play both sides. Some say he should have read the room and realized a comedian is on the podcast, so opening up like it's a therapy session isn't exactly going to go down well. Where others say Bobby was being immature and should have responded in a better manner. It was definitely more timing than anything. As for those of you that have seen the episode, they went from lighthearted comments to George suddenly talking about the darkest moments of his life, which is a massive curveball for any guest, let alone a comedian, who is known for digging at other supposed comedians.
For me to dude, I didn't even know I was going to be with my best friends doing a podcast where, and I don't mean this in a cocky way, but dude, this put me on a very strong map and it made a lot of my avenues blow up. So I'm very blessed, but I didn't know I was going to be here. So
it's like that's... Are you done? It was just a long monologue.
He was just waiting.
And let me just say something. I loved what you were saying. It was just very long.
That's usually me. That's usually.
But I got what you're saying, and you really inspired me, George.
To be fair to Bobby Lee, he handled it in a lighthearted way. He could have been a lot more brutal about it. If you've seen Bobby Lee on other podcasts, the guy does not hold back on anyone. I even saw a viral TikTok of the walkout, where it has over 13 million views, and the majority are siding with George. Bobby Lee is an L, and good for Mike for standing up for it. Mike low-key is becoming his own man and not Logan's little tool. Good for Mike, I respect it. Calling it right now, this group gonna fall apart because of Logan. You can tell Mike understood George and Logan just didn't care and kept trying to create. And that last comment couldn't age any better. Mike used to be viewed by many as being extremely immature and egocentric. Additionally, they frequently criticize him for interrupting guests or going on about his previous drug use. The Impaulsive team claims that YouTube comments are the best reflection of viewer emotion, and recently there's been a notable change from previous times. George admitted that he feels like he's not performing well in the podcast in the same Impaulsive episode where he apologized for leaving Bobby Lee. Although most reviews of George are still positive, many people are now complaining that he lacks energy, doesn't speak much, or just isn't funny. And all of this happened in the space of around half a year. This entirely switched from George being the heart of the podcast to Mike being the fan favorite. Mike has benefited greatly from all these improvements, but George has not fared well because George is considerably more sensitive than Mike and is not nearly as skilled at handling critical comments. A caring aspect of Mike that wasn't really there in the past has been highlighted by the way viewers have observed him watching out for George on the pod. What are your guys' honest thoughts about this entire situation? Should George Janko try to find a middle ground and stay on Impaulsive? Or was it beginning to be a bit awkward between the trio and it was just time to move on? Comment below. In a recent episode of Janko's own podcast, Tana Monjo, a guest who once dated Logan's brother Jake Paul, added to the evidence gathered by fans. Janko and Monjo made light of the idea of forming a new Impaulsive trio with themselves and YouTuber Jeff Wittek at the end of the show. I'm calling it now. I have a very strong feeling we may see Jeff Wittek in a lot of future Impaulsive episodes, and I think he'd fit in perfectly well in the dynamic of the three co-hosts. Monjo joked, "Or me and Jeff can have you right on Jeff FM, and we'll have a new Impaulsive. Watch out, Logan. Watch out, Mike. New trio." Janko responded, "That would be fucking hilarious. But can you just do me a favor? Put me in a spot where no one looks at me or talks to me so I feel like how I used to feel." There's clearly something George is holding on to because in his most recent podcast episode with Bryce Hall, which got released yesterday, someone commented, "Address Impaulsive," to which he replied, "Trust me, I'm working very hard on this." After hearing that it appears that something is preventing him from doing so, most likely on Impaulsive's side, maybe it's a legal matter where he can get done for defamation if he makes crazy remarks about the actual reason he left. Or maybe it's about how Logan treated him or even Mike. All we know when he does finally break his silence is all Impaulsive fans are eager to see what he has to say. Anyway, this concludes today's video. Be sure to subscribe to LoafTube for future celebrity videos and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, see you in the next one.